Welcome back to my channel for a very short episode about a gadget from Leica that is discontinued. And I'm talking about the Elpro 52 lens. Well, let's call it a close-up lens, a macro add-on lens, which I showed on the channel many times. And in my opinion, this is one of the best gadgets Leica ever made. But unfortunately, they discontinued it. And a lot of people ask me in the comments, what can I do? I try to find the Elpro 52, product number is 14125, and I can't find it. It's in the secondary market, maybe, but only on rare occasions. No one who really can count to 5 and has this macro add-on lens will ever sell it. And here in this video, I offer you an alternative, and the alternative will burn a hole in your wallet of only $75. Let's kick it off. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, support my work. Many thanks for that. All right, the Elpro E52, product number 14125, an absolutely brilliant add-on lens for getting closer to your subject in close-up shootings and macro photography, has been discontinued by Leica. And I really don't understand why. This is an absolutely brilliant companion for your Leica Q3 43, your Leica Q3 28, but also outside of the Leica cam for Sony RX1R III. You know, for so many cameras, I showed this lens in various shooting situations on various cameras, and it always performed. It gets you much closer to your subject. Your magnification will get a real boost and increase. And unfortunately, it's discontinued after all this work I invested in promoting it on my channel, because I'm super convinced that this is a very nice additional accessory you should always have in your pocket if all of a sudden you want to go for a product shot, a macro shot, a close-up shot, what have you. After a lot of people in comments basically shared their pain with me that they cannot find the Elpro 52, that they think there is not supply in the secondary market, because, as I said before, everyone who really cares about photography and owns this lens will for sure, if the person understood what it can do for you, not sell this lens and keep it, in particular now since it's discontinued. So I scratched my head and screened the market and thought about solutions. And one solution I found, well, we'll find out in the course of the video if it really is a solution, is this one here. It's from Raynox high definition lens. It's for full frame digital SLRs. So, you know, will fit, of course, my Leica Q3 43, which is the camera I will use for this video. And it's called the Super Macro Conversion lens. And the exact type of lens we have here, it's the model DCR-250 super macro lens for digital SLR cameras, 4K HDV camcorders. That's a bit of an outdated statement, I think, what I see here. But the good news first, this whole lens will cost you only $75. I just looked it up at B&H. And it's kind of the same lens in terms of form, size, and shape of what we have here. You just get it clipped, screwed in, whatever it is. I will show you in a moment how the mechanics work, onto a lens, and then you can get much closer. And by getting much closer and decreasing the minimum focusing distance, you also get a significantly higher magnification. And that's what this lens is all about. And I think we should try this out in this video. The camera I want to use is my Leica Q3 43. And I think the game plan is very simple. We'll talk quickly about the mechanics, how to mount this super macro conversion lens. And then we'll shoot this conversion lens side by side with the Elpro 52 and with the native macro mode on the Q3 43. I unboxed the Raynox Super Macro Conversion lens already, and what we get in the box is this one here. That's actually the lens, and there is a front cap here, and a rear cap. And if we remove them, doesn't look so different to the Elpro 52, right? Well, the build quality is totally different. This here feels like plastic, is a $75 accessory. And the Elpro 52, of course, is a full metal construction. So here we have Leica quality, made in Germany, and, you know, reflecting all the good things we know about Leica. This one here feels significantly cheaper, but not bad at all. It's just different material what we have here. And that's the core of the package, what you get in the box. Let's protect this again, because I want to show you a couple of more things here. This is all shipped in a box. The box is plastic, but solid. And it also has foam here to make sure everything is protected. And then we have the adapter. And the adapter here is actually, if we look into that, is 43 millimeter. And we can screw this in here. Have a look, very simple. You just screw it in until it sits firmly. And now the adapter carries the lens, but we can no longer protect it from the back. We now really have to get this onto a lens or onto a UV filter. And the maximum spread we get here, the maximum filter thread which is supported, is 67 millimeter. And the minimum filter thread, if we just squeeze this here, is 49 millimeter. So just perfectly right for Leica Q3, Q3 43, Q3 monochrome, and a Sony RX1R Mark III. And you just squeeze it, and you see here there are tiny little holdings, and they will get clipped on to the lens, or if you have protected the lens, to the UV filter on the lens. And 49 millimeter is the smallest filter thread, and 67 millimeter is the largest supported filter thread. Now, in order to test this out, what we are going to do now is, of course, straightforward. We'll take the Leica Q3 43, we'll shoot with the minimum focusing distance a subject, then we mount the Leica Elpro 52. We find again the minimum focusing distance and shoot the same subject. And then we take the Raynox Super Macro Conversion lens mounted on the Leica Q3 43 in the same way as we mounted before the Elpro 52. And again, find the minimum focusing distance and shoot the same subject. And then we'll go into Lightroom Classic and we'll see by how much closer we came to our subject using the Elpro 52 versus the Raynox Super Macro Conversion lens versus the native macro mode on the Leica Q3 43. And we'll also get a glimpse into image quality, of course. So we need something that is detailed enough that we can later see if this Super Macro Conversion lens is kind of offering us the same resolution and level of detail as what we got for the Leica Elpro 52. And that is a very simple plan going forward. I don't want to do much more in this video because this is kind of a proof of concept video whether these type of more affordable $75 Super Macro Conversion lenses work. I'm sure there are more of this type in the market, but this is the one I've chosen and I'm now super curious to try this out. The subject I've chosen for this little exercise, this proof of concept video this time, is not a watch, it's not jewelry, and it's not a mini toy car or some detail on a vintage Leica camera. It is indeed a $1 bill. And why did I decide for that? Well, because this is really a subject where you need high resolution and the capability of a lens to really resolve all that resolution, which we natively get on a 60 megapixel sensor, because this is a very filigrane printing of a $1 bill note. And we'll get this straight in front of the camera. We'll go through the exercise, shoot it natively, shoot it with the Elpro 52, shoot it with the Raynox Super Macro Conversion lens, and we'll see how much these lens combinations, namely it's always the Apo-Summicron plus an add-on lens, and then the Apo-Summicron standalone, will be able to resolve the 60 megapixel resolution when it comes to a very detailed subject like a $1 bill. All in, we have a super simple shooting setup here. The $1 bill is placed. You see it here in the live view. On camera settings, I go for a 6-second self timer. I go for the native or base ISO of 100, autofocus single, aperture priority. Here I'm in single drive mode, of course. And I'm currently here not yet in the macro mode. You see this here. I'm in the standard shooting mode, and you will see the minimum focusing distance here in this setup is violated. The camera will not be able to focus. Have a look. Not working, basically hunting forth and back. And what we need to do is we need to switch into the macro mode. And then the camera will be able to focus. And now the exercise is we go as closely as possible to this $1 bill. So let's move it. Let's further move it. I actually stopped down here to f5.6, but we don't need really space in terms of depth of field here because the dollar bill is super thin. So let's move closer. Let's see how close we get until this starts no longer to find focus. Here we are still good. And here the rectangle, the focus field is red. So let's move this back a little bit. Still red, a little bit. Now it's green. So this seems to be it. Here is red. Here is green. I think we can release the shot. Let me get this straight here. And let's wait for the self-timer to release the shot. Very simple exercise and hopefully effective and efficient, showing us what this Raynox Super Macro Conversion lens is capable of. Here we go. Let's crop in for a moment. Let's have a look here how this looks like. This is now Apo-Summicron goodness standalone, and it is very, very sharp and looks really good. For the next shot, we will switch to the Elpro E52. So we remove the lens hood here. Let's quickly do this. There will be a UV filter underneath here. It's a Leica E49. Next, we need the filter thread adapter E52 to E49, and we screw this onto the UV filter here, which protects my very precious Apo-Summicron. Here we go. And now we can mount the Elpro 52 here and screw it in. And then we test in the same way out how close we can get to this $1 bill. Here we go. I'm still in the macro mode, by the way. I really want to get as close as possible to my subject. And you already see here now that I get much, much closer than natively in the macro mode with the Apo-Summicron. Here it's not focusing. I have to move it back a little bit, but here it's already focusing. Let's move it closer to the bill. Still focusing, a little bit closer, no longer focusing. So this is it. This is the minimum focusing distance. Let's trigger a shot. We had a self-timer. 6 seconds. And then we'll have a very clean picture of the center of that $1 bill here. Let's crop in for a moment to see how this looks like. Very good, very sharp. Next, we need to remove the Elpro 52 here. So we go here and screw this off. I also want this to get protected again in this little pouch here. No fingerprints on the lenses. This is a very valuable gadget, in particular since it's discontinued. And by the way, I hope I remember at the end of the video to comment a little bit on what it means being discontinued. So let's put this here. Here's the adapter. Let's screw it out. And now we are already in a position to mount the adapter here for the Raynox Super Macro Conversion lens. And since the minimum filter thread we can use is 49mm, it should actually fit on here. Let's see how this works. And yes, this is very simple. Look at that. It looks really good. It's very easy to mount. And as I said, it has headroom starting from a filter thread of 49mm up to 67mm. So you can use this adapter actually on a lot of lenses. Now let's get the close-up lens here. Let's remove the caps, rear cap, front cap. Let's screw it in. See if this works fine for me. And yes, very easy to screw in. And let's see where the minimum focusing distance is. Here we go. And I think this gets me even closer to my $1 bill than the Elpro 52. Look at that. Let's fire the shot now with a 6-second self-timer. Here we go. Camera is very calm, resting on the table. No shakes, no vibrations. Let's also here crop in and see what we get. And yeah, this looks good. Actually, very sharp. I'm really curious now. I switch into Lightroom Classic. We look at the 3 frames I just shot, and then we'll very quickly conclude the video. All right, we are now looking at the 3 frames here in Lightroom Classic. And important, I really wanted to keep the image quality the way it came straight out of camera. So if you look here on the right hand side, I applied no sharpening. Let me double click here. This is the standard setting when you import this into Lightroom Classic. No denoise, nothing here on texture, clarity or dehaze, no vibrance, saturation, no shadows, no nothing, no exposure. This is the image as it came out of camera. This one here is the native macro mode with the Apo-Summicron 43mm on the Q3 43. And the only correction I applied was a bit on perspective, and I also cropped into the frame already because I really wanted to focus on the center here, because that's typically what happens in macro photography and close-up shooting. You have a little bit of a stronger focus on the center than on the corner. So I cropped in a little bit already. So this is the native macro shot. This is the macro shot with the Elpro 52 mounted. And this is the macro shot with the Raynox DCR-250 mounted. And what you see here, when I switch from the Elpro to the Raynox, you see that with the Raynox, I was able to get a little bit closer and to squeeze out a tiny little bit more magnification. And the reason, the technical reason underlying is that the Elpro 52 is a plus 7.5 diopter, whereas the Raynox is an 8 diopter, and that allows you to get a tiny little bit closer and to get a tiny little more magnification. So here's the Elpro again, here's the Raynox, and all in, these are good images. I mean, the Apo-Summicron 43mm anyway is a fantastic lens. If I crop in here by 100%, this is super crisp, super sharp, looks really good. And I like this image a lot, although it's a boring image. But as I said, the $1 bill was actually selected, chosen with intention. And you see there is a lot of detail which you see in post-processing if you crop in to 100%. Then for the Elpro 52, I think the same goodness. This is a fantastic plus 7.5 diopter here. You get all the details. It looks really good. I think with the Elpro 52 on the boundaries, it always gets a bit more fuzzy, which is something I think I mentioned in a previous video on the channel. And now going to the Raynox and focusing on the center first, this is not worse than what we saw on the Elpro 52. Look at that. Well, let's maybe put them side by side for a moment. I think that is more meaningful. Let's go to the library. Let's go here to this representation. And then we should actually have these two images side by side. And you see here on the boundaries that on the Elpro 52, you are a tiny little bit more away. Here you are a tiny little bit closer on the right hand side on the Raynox. And if we crop in, now I have the same kind of crop. You see, this is really good what the Raynox is delivering here. Hardly noticeable differences to the Elpro 52 in my opinion. Look here. Looks really good. It's very sharp, very clear. Maybe here in this area, even a tiny little better on the Raynox DCR-250. So I think this is good. If you go closer to the boundaries or the corners of the lens, I think the Raynox is a bit worse than what I see on the Elpro 52. Let's try this here. Yes, definitely. So the Elpro 52 keeps sharpness in an extended area. If you evolve from the center of the lens, then the Raynox is capable of doing, but in the center, this looks really good, is really sharp, really crisp, and is, of course, in my opinion, something people should experiment with and try out. By the way, I'm sure this is not the only lens of this type you find in the market. There are very likely also other brands who offer this. This is the one I found. I think it works pretty well in the way I demonstrated live a moment ago. And for me, it was important to offer you something else. Since I spoke about these macro add-on lenses repeatedly on the channel, but you will not be able to order this any longer, I thought I need to really search for an alternative. And this, in my opinion, my dear friends on YouTube, is a really good alternative for a really competitive price tag. If you liked that video, don't forget to drop me a thumbs up. Stay tuned on my channel. There's always more to come. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and healthy. And of course, peace out.